Welcome to the Hollywood Scholar. I'm Chad Morgan, and after yesterday's Witcher Blood Origin trailer, which showed more and more lore breaks and even than I had predicted, I figured that I'd have at least a couple more days before they announce more lore breaks and more canonical diversions that destroy the entire narrative of both the main Witcher TV show and the prequel Blood Origin. But Lauren Histrich has already come out with the showrunner of Witcher Blood Origin to destroy that notion within myself and confirm more and more lore breaks. At this point, I do not believe a single iota of this show will be canonical, with the exception of the occasional name. I mean, even at this point, they're ripping off Star Wars. This new prequel series is more Star Wars than it is The Witcher, because the story from this new trailer features an evil empire with a bunch of scrappy rebellions rising up against it. That is the story of Witcher Blood Origin according to the trailer. That is way more Star Wars than Witcher, especially with them throwing out the actual Witcher canon that they had. It's nonsensical at this point, but we have a few more confirmed characters added into this soup of utter nonsense. But we got this article here from the Redanian Intelligence, which confirms there will be 3 new canonical lore characters added to The Witcher Blood Origin. Now, one of these we already knew about, has already been cast. Another one we could surmise from a blurb that was released, and the third one is unique. And all 3 of these characters have something in common. Yes, they were alive at the time, but no, they should not be involved in the story whatsoever. And it all comes from this interview with Lauren Histrich and the showrunner for Witcher Blood Origin, and their comments are quite astounding. We'll get into that in just a moment here. But these 3 characters are Avallac'h, who he definitely should not be involved in the story. He is made special by his connection to Laura Dern, and Laura Dern is not a character until well after the conjunction of the spheres and the experiments done to her because of the Ein-El noticing the Ein-Shay's devolution. He's only made special because of her. So yes, probably should be alive at that point, maybe not. We don't know his exact birth date, but it is within the realms of possibility to believe that he is alive, but he is not an active participant in the story at this time, because he's really not that big of a deal until he's connected to Alara later on in his life. So they're bringing him into the story. What are they going to do? We're going to see that in the interview in just a moment here. Ithling, this one is the one that is really concerning to me because, yes, she should be alive at this point, just like the other 2, but she is just not involved in the story at all. Her main prophecy takes place hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years after the conjunction of the spheres, and they confirm in that interview we're going to check out in a moment that her prophecy, her big one about the White Frost and Ciri, is going to be a part of this show. That is a problem because the prophecy references events and humans and stuff that can't exist till post-conjunction. The prophecy won't make sense till post-conjunction, and a lot after post-conjunction, because yes, humans do arrive with the conjunction, but they're really not that prominent in the world. They're nothing more than savages or caveman for another 900 to 1100 years after the conjunction. It should not be an Ithling's prophecy at this point. Maybe baby prophecies, you see her young, but she should not be a major participant in the story, as the interview confirms that she will be. And just real fast, this is the image that they have of Ithling from Witcher Season 2. They've already bastardized her in Witcher Season 2. Some really awful stuff they did with her. So, what they're already down to destroy her canonical story, so why not do it again? But the final character is going to be Arien. Now, Arien should not be that big of a deal. Even in the books, he was just sort of around in the final novel. It was The Witcher 3 that made him a big deal. I love what they did with him, making him the primary villain of the series. I love what Witcher Wild Hunt did with Arien. But at this point, he really shouldn't be all that involved. Depending on the canonical reference, it says that the Ein-El either leave 2,000 years before the conjunction or at the conjunction to their new homeworld with the city of Terranelia. However, if Arien and Avallac'h are on the continent at the time of the conjunction, that infers that the show is choosing the canonical interpretation that they left at the time of the conjunction. I'm actually totally fine with that. I actually prefer that interpretation as well. But if they're there, that means the Ein-El and the Ein-Shay have not broken apart yet, which means they're basically still the Einen Dude. With the Einen Dude, King Oberon is not a big deal, and King Oberon is the one who makes Arien a big deal. At this point, he's just some random elf. He's not the leader of the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt is not formed for hundreds of years after the conjunction of the spheres. He's just some random dude. If anything, Captain of the King's Guard is the most that he should be. He should not be a major participant in the story. All 3 of these characters should be cameos and nothing more, even if they are included whatsoever. But this interview that we have from Lauren Histrich and Declan really explains what they're going to be doing with these 3 characters, and it's not a good sign.
Them from their their baby stages where they're still quite innocent and they haven't been corrupted, and they become this multi-layered dark creatures in the games.
So right there, he's talking about specifically Avallac'h and Aridin, and I have a major issue with that because Avallac'h is not a villain, and he just described him as a multi-layered monster. That's a problem because Avallac'h, yes, he occasionally makes choices that are in opposition to Geralt and Ciri, but it's always for the right reasons, and he's not an actual villain. He may deceive them, but it's always towards a greater good, at least in his own mind, specifically in Witcher 3. In the books, he's really kind of around a little bit, and one conversation with Geralt, and then with Ciri when she travels to Tir Nalia, convinces her to have an incestuous baby with her ancestor, King Oberon. That is pretty much his main involvement in the story, and that's to prevent war. Avallac'h is not a villain. Describing him as such is a problem. At most, he can be described as an anti-hero, doing wrong things for the right reasons. So describing him as a villain, already misunderstanding his character. Then Aridin, he's not really in the story at all, but he's still just a jock. So I guess I get to a certain extent what he's saying about Aridin. The Avallac'h stuff is really bad, but they're not innocent. The Einun at this point aren't that great of people. They came in conquering the dwarves and the gnomes. They're not good people, so they shouldn't be innocent and pre-monster phase. So it's still non-canonical for how he describes Aridin, and non-canonical for how he describes Avallac'h. Already a problem here. And he's showrunning this show.
In the books and in the TV show. And something that, Lauren was very interested in was Ithlin as the proof of concept with Ithlin. You can, if you want to talk about that.
So yeah, we're going to get into her portrayal of Ithlin in just a moment here, and this is all non-canonical because Ithlin's major prophecies don't take place for several hundred years after the events of Blood Origin. Maybe a cameo, that's all that Ithlin should be, not giving her big ultimatum prophecy in this show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the things that we were thinking about. Ithlin's prophecy is all over the Witcher series, but it's often talked about as this kind of folkloric thing. And so even though we are told that we should believe it, it's like, well, if the people in the universe themselves don't believe it, why should I as a viewer or writer believe it?
That is an incredibly nonsensical position. Yes, some of the characters within the Witcher books don't believe that Ithlin's prophecy is accurate or true, but we see her prophecies come through over the course of the books. So as a reader, you're told, hey, here's this prophecy, it comes true in these instances. So yes, Ithlin's prophecies are true and accurate. It's totally within logical parameters to come to that conclusion, but she's saying, people in the story didn't believe it at the beginning, so why should I believe it at all? I get that at the beginning, maybe you shouldn't believe it, but she's saying in entirety, you shouldn't necessarily believe it if the characters don't believe it. That's insane perspective. That is illogical. And so she's inserting Ithlin into this prequel where she doesn't belong to supposedly fix this issue of not trusting Ithlin's prophecy because she's an idiot.
And how's it going to impact Ciri? The fact that we go back, we meet Ithlin as a young woman, we watch her prophesize, and then we watch that come true right before our eyes. To me now, it lends such credence to what we're going to watch Ciri go through in the main series, and I can't wait. Like, that's one of those little Easter eggs.
So we already had that credence that she's talking about because we know Ithlin's prophecies and we see them come true in the Northern Wars that she predicted during the events of the Witcher novels and her main big prophecy, which predicts Ciri and the White Frost. We already see those events come true. So we already have that credence. Seeing her as a young woman giving these prophecies doesn't lend any more credence to that. It's like, oh, you can't believe a prophecy is true unless you see the oracle do it. It's like, no, you can read a prophecy, see it come true, and be like, oh, that was true. That is completely a ridiculous and illogical perspective to take on prophecy. And she's using the word Easter egg there. I don't think she knows what Easter egg means. But for some reason, she thinks that by the way of showing Ithlin and giving her this fake credence that Ithlin already had, she's supporting the Witcher TV series, which is not the case. Every decision that they're making in Witcher Blood Origin destroys the continuity within their own broken universe. So with the departure of Henry Cavill, people cannot be interested in the story on top of the story breaking apart at every single opportunity. Whatever shell of a narrative that maintained itself through Witcher Season 1 and 2 is being broken by the canonical breaks from Witcher Blood Origin, making those events not make sense. They can't even keep consistent and continuity within their own universe, let alone when it comes to the lore and canonical breaks that they're making from the books. This is destroying their own canon. That is what's so stupid about this. If they were at least consistent within themselves, I could see something there. But they're not even being consistent within their own universe, and it's falling apart at the seams, and fans are just no longer interested in it, and Henry Cavill's departure is taking the wool off their eyes. So now, without the great casting of Henry Cavill, and without a cohesive story in whatever shell that it used to be, now that that's gone, people are abandoning this ship in droves. Even on this shill rant post that has this interview, people are commenting about Henry Cavill's departure and about how ridiculous she sounds. Damage control. This woman is ridiculous. She destroyed it with the Witcher series. They're already defending the actual canon, and they noticed that this isn't right. This isn't accurate. They can tell that. Fans have had the wool taken off their eyes with Henry Cavill's departure, and they see this broken story getting more and more broken with every press announcement and every prequel that is released. Witcher Blood Origin will destroy any continuity that this show internally used to have, especially with Henry Cavill not there to prop up this broken and destructive narrative. This show will fall apart. There is no future for this franchise after everything they've done to destroy it and drive Henry Cavill away, and I'm just here to watch it burn and laugh. But anyway, that's all I have for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Anon.
Hey, yo, are you feeling what I'm doing up in here? Oh, I know you are. Do you miss all the good, compelling stories that we used to get back in Hollywood that they ain't putting down no more? Oh, I know you missing it. So check out my book series, Odyssey of a Phoenix, a mythological epic about philosophy, morality, and modern-day mental illness issues, baby. Book 1, Down in Flames. Book 2, Apocalypse Then. These are currently on sale. What are you waiting for? Get your hands on them. And we got Book 3, Kill the Dark, is coming down the pipeline. Just wait for all the good stuff that's dropping. You ain't gonna be disappointed, fam.